Hello
Hello.
again.
Hello, everyone. So today we're going to talk about the Wide Mastermind event that we are running in Las Vegas this year. It's on November 13th. It's all day. There's food and all sorts of stuff included. And we're just going to walk through some of the reasons that we're doing the event, as well as what we're excited about with the event, as well as moving past some of the reasons that you might be kind of on the fence about the event. So we have an outline here. So we're organized. Thank you, Russell, for organizing us.
You're
We don't
welcome.
ramble.
Uh, well, we'll probably still ramble, but this is great because Monica loves masterminds. I think I can say you
Yes,
help
I
run
do.
masterminds, you do masterminds, you spend money on masterminds. I have been very mastermind hesitant until this year. So you kind of have both sides of this. And what's
Right.
great about this wide mastermind is you get both perspectives, but also someone who's also run masterminds before. So it's not just trust us. It's trust Monica, really trust Monica because Monica has done this just
Mhm.
so many times before. And I'm very excited. I have on this list to do a quick thing of our bona fides, but can we just skip that and go right into the thing? Because if you're listening to
Yeah.
this, you probably know who we are, right? Monica's
Yes.
awesome. I'm awesome. We do book things, we do accelerators. Um, but I really want to get into this as quickly as possible. And just the question that I got a surprising amount since we've announced this is just what is a mastermind? And as the mastermind guru of this two of us, could you just talk a little bit about what a mastermind is?
Yeah, so to me, a mastermind, it's really a safe space to share your challenges as an entrepreneur, as an author, the things that your partner doesn't get, the things that your friends don't get, and they are not dealing with. I think it's just a safe space, and also a very supportive space as well. Obviously, for this mastermind, uh, Russell and I are running it, so we are there literally to support you. So you will have, and usually there is somebody running the mastermind that is there to support you. But we're going to be really supportive of you, and we really want to see your success. So that's a big part of it. So that's one element of it, is just it's a place that you can go to for accountability, for safety, for real help on your challenges, real feedback that is not coming from a place of not knowing what the person is talking about. So because I think sometimes people they build communities that are free, and that's good too. But in the comments, you'll always have people who don't really know what they're talking about, who don't really know you or your business, don't know your history, and they haven't really invested in getting to know you, but they're offering advice on what you should do. So that's not always the easiest thing. It can be kind of energetically draining. uh, so yeah, I think it's just we'll be invested in you. So then the other side of that is you'll have other people in the room who have also made this investment in themselves and who are also in our network and in our world, so they kind of understand our approach to business and sales and marketing and authorship. So they are probably pretty like-minded, and so then those are other people who are actively trying to grow as well, and actively trying to grow their businesses, and so you will be able to grow with them as well. And then, of course, a mastermind is really about networking and connections. So you'll have access to a lot of people we know too. You'll have access to a lot of people that other people in the room know. And so it's just another way to kind of build your network quickly. And one of the things Russell said, you said it's a fast track. And you said if you had known that you could just pay to be in rooms, you would have done it a lot sooner in your career. And I think that's what this is. And it's what I've found in my career, is just sometimes paying to have, so sometimes people think of it as paying to have friends. Uh, it kind of it's kind of like that, but not really. It's more like paying to paying to be in the room
The
where
right room.
things are happening. Yeah, where business is happening, where deals are happening, and
Yeah. So I'll give you.
partnerships.
So I think I can give an example of my experience with the last first mastermind that I went to, and I have been doing this for a long time, and I have asked a lot of questions in free groups, in paid groups, in just about everywhere that you can ask a question. I've run my own groups, but I still had this gnawing feeling because I'm not great at retailer sales. Just I've not focused on it. I have focused on Kickstarter and direct sales and convention sales and all sorts of other things. But like I think I made maybe $1,000 last year. I think it was less than that altogether on all of the retailers combined. And so um, when I went to this mastermind, I really wanted to figure out like I really needed to change the covers of my books. I thought like I just had like a gut feeling that like I just finished my this series, the God's Chronicles, and I've been to a bunch of conventions, and while like it did well, I was like I don't like it doesn't feel like the covers don't feel right. And I've already recovered this book a bunch of times. And I could not in good conscience, just on my own gut, recover the series the whole time. Like, especially because it's 12 books. And so I went to this mastermind because I honestly had like no clue. I had no clue about like if I was right, if I should spend a bunch of money doing X, Y, and Z thing, and like if it did, like what I should do for that series. And so I went to Matt. I'm trying to find the cover of this book while I'm scrolling backwards through the messages. Here we go. All right. So I had this cover that I think has been a very effective cover for us. It's this kind of sleek. Let's see if I can share it. Share screen. All right. So I had this cover, which I think is pretty slick. It's it's like the books are all like fantasy thrillers, so I wanted to have that kind of like CIA agent feel to it, and like this has been a very effective cover for us for this series. But when I shared it with the mastermind, they were all like, "This is nothing. This is nothing. Like this is not a thing. It's not right." And like 40 people, whoever was in that room at the time, were all like very adamant that like this is very wrong. And like I'm very good at publishing. I'm pretty successful at publishing. I'm maybe not as successful as anyone I know, but like I'm in the upper tier of humans that are, and I still was like, I don't know this information. And so I went there, and this was the change that we made. And so you can like literally just see from the advice that I got, like we made a huge investment of recovering all of these books. And I was able to ask these people who are much better at retailers than me, what like I should do and what kind of cover would be good. And I incorporated all of these elements. So like it's a Portal fantasy series. Right. And so we decided to do this thing where like each book is like portal. And we show where like the portal takes you. In this particular instance, it takes you to Russia during the Soviet Union, and like X, Y, and Z other places throughout the course of the series. You get all of these other 12 book covers that are kind of branded the same way. And while we were doing the covers, I also was like able to connect with them and say, hey, is this right? Like you said this, like I asked the questions, like, are we on the right track? Are we not on the right track? And like, we haven't launched these, so I don't know, but like, I wanted to go into this launch with like the best odds of success. And I figured that, hey, if I'm going to spend I don't know, $30,000 next year on advertising. Like, and these can drop my cost by half or a third or a fourth. Like, it's going to drastically repay itself, not just next year, but into the future. So these are the kinds of questions that like you bring, I think, to like a mastermind event specifically. Now there's also like groups of masterminds, and there's virtual masterminds, and there's all sorts of stuff that you can do, and I'm part of those as well. But there was something about being there in person and like getting a hot seat. And the hot seat is like, okay, you've got 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, like talk about your problem, whatever your problem is. And like the rest of the group is going to try and solve it. And there's something comforting about knowing that all of the people there are at a level that like their advice is, I don't want to say more valid, but it is. It's more valid than more valid than most of the advice you get in a free Facebook group, because a free Facebook group is generally filled with people who have not been there, who have not done that. And unless it's really well moderated, it's hard to determine which advice is right and which advice is loud. And usually the loud advice is the one that people are giving 99% of the time. And it's the 1% that you have to really look out for. But when you go to an event that's curated, that people have flown to, have traveled to, have invested in hotel rooms and such too, like you know they're at a different level. And when I remember walking in the door the first time, and when I go to events, I'm tense, not because I'm like nervous or scared. I'm just because like my guard is up, because a lot of people want a lot of things from me at most of the time. And like, they are very often people that are not serious about their career. And so, but when I walk into this room, I walked in with like my shoulders low. I walked in like breathing easy, because like I trusted the event organizers, and I trusted that all of the people there were people that I could listen to and should be networking with, and that like they are all like-minded humans who were all on this same journey together. And I'll tell you, like there's a lot of value in that specific moment of just being able to say like, oh wow, look at all these people who like I had no idea who they were, and like now after a couple of days being there, like we're friends, and like we are all kind of on the same journey together.
Yeah, and I would say also that, you know, so I probably knew a lot of the people beforehand, like I do, you know, I did meet some new people at this recent event, but I knew a lot of them already for a number of years. But I would say we've since like reached out, you know, we've grown closer to them too. And I think you in particular have grown closer to some of them. And like one of them is now, you know, he's doing our podcast, and he's like just so good at what he does, because he's an audio engineer. There's one person there, at least one person there, who was like a legit, like very, very good cover designer, who really gave you a lot of good tips on your covers. He didn't do the covers because they're off doing some other stuff, but he gave you so many good ideas for the covers that probably like helped, you know, level them up just even that much more. But yeah, I think there were just so many great people there that then you go to the event in person. There's such a deeper and more instant connection from that. And then you continue to build the relationship throughout the year. And then you see them again at like 20 books or something similar. And, you know, then the relationship builds. And like over the course of a couple years, you realize like these are some of my closer friends within the industry. Like I feel comfortable reaching out to this person and asking them for something that I need help with, or like maybe they've reached out to me, or, you know, maybe we meet up at this other event, and it just, I don't know, there's just such a value in establishing your network that way. Like I know when we go to 20 books, because we, you know, obviously we'll be at 20 books this year, and a couple other conferences, but we'll be at 20 books this year. And it's like, I know that I can walk into that room and I'll know people because I've been investing in these relationships for years at this point. So it is nice to kind of like be like, okay, I'm sure like we'll have a dinner at some point during that event. So I don't have to be stressed out about going to the event. Aside from the reason that Russell already said, which was like, just because of who we are right now in this industry and like the visibility that we have right now. When we walk into like 20 books, people want to talk to us, and like we're kind of like all coming. Not to say that, of course, like if you see us at 20 books, come talk to us, but we obviously get like a lot of weird requests and stuff too. So don't be that person, I would say.
Yeah. Well, I think this is a good thing, because the next part on this list is we're going to talk about 20 books. And so like 20 books, I've gone to a lot of conferences, and like I was blown away by 20 books, just the breadth of it, like the scale of it, and the quality of the people who showed up, and that you could walk into a room and just talk self-publishing with anyone, that there were panels on everything from direct sales to Wide to Kickstarter to keynotes to website designers to cover designers to like, if you are having an issue with any part of your business, and I am very sure every single person who's in self-publishing, no matter how successful, is having some problem in their business, like there will be a panel, and probably a suite of panels for you.
Yeah, I agree. So 20 books, we both went for the first time last year. I was astounded by how good this conference is, and I can't say I would really say that about many other conferences. But I do think that the team was just so solid who put this conference together. Like Russell said, so one thing I hear a lot, and especially in the Wide community, is that this conference is all about KU, or this conference is all about KU. And so I've definitely heard like 20 books is all about KU, and I just wholeheartedly like have to strongly disagree with that. Like Russell said, I mean, there were multiple talks on Kickstarter, there were multiple talks on Patreon, there were tons of Wide talks. All the Wide vendors were there, so like Google had a huge setup there. They brought like 5 or 6 people there, and I was able to talk to, I think, 3 or 4 people from their company, including software engineers. Like just so many vendors who work with Wide, like ScribeCount, Publish Wide, Draft to Digital, of course, BookFunnel, like so, like all these companies that are, I would say, focused on Wide primarily, and I don't know. I think they've done a really good job of that. I also know that, we've talked to Craig Martell, he doesn't run the whole, well, yeah, he runs the conference. He's put, I think, a lot of his own, like, just like his own reputation and probably a lot of his own finances on the line to run this event for free. He doesn't get paid for it. It's all volunteer, which is crazy. And he's reached out to us and said, like, we want to do more Wide talks. Like, how, can you help with that? Or we want to do like a Kickstarter stuff or whatever it is. Like, so I do think that they are working really hard to cover all the bases of publishing, and they're really interested in finding people who can cover these like the outskirts of publishing, the aggressively Wide stuff. And I just think it's probably, I mean, it really is one of the best author conferences on the slate every year. So I don't know. That's my opinion, but
and why I think that we're doing the why I think that we're doing the mastermind, why I pitched doing the mastermind, and Monica agreed, or we both, however it was, like my reasoning for doing it at this particular event is there's 2,000 people there. Yeah. Like, and most events are 100 to 200 people. So just simply like by the sheer scope of it, by the fact that it's, I don't know, 10, 15 panels going on at any one time, like there's going to be something for you. It's going to be not just overview, but like they dig deep on a lot of topics and there are KU topics, obviously, but like, there's I think there were at least like 5 or 10 talks on like Amazon ads that went everywhere from like, what are Amazon ads? Like how to do this very specific thing in Amazon, like how to like use this one strategy. And so if you have never done a big conference before, like you're going to find something there, and you're going to find things, whether you're a beginner, an intermediate, or an expert, and you're going to find things to move you from being a beginner to an intermediate to an expert to a master. And just the ability to network on top of that part of that, or in like, you're going to find somebody in 2,000 people that like is gonna grok what you're doing. And so because this is the biggest event probably of the self-publishing year, because there's tracks for everything from KU all the way to Kickstarter and direct sales and Patreon, like, and because it's just the scope of people, you know, there's close to 1,800, coming on 800 people signed up already. That like doing the mastermind here is like the best chance that we have to find the maximum amount of people, and also have the best impact on those people throughout that week after. Because, you know, we talk about just a one day, like it's a one day mastermind, but really it's like a week long mastermind, because there's going to be stuff that is happening throughout the week that like you're going to be involved in, or have the opportunity to be involved in, that like we haven't even talked about now, you know, like breakfasts and study groups and lunch and learns, like all this stuff. And like, you're going to get a front row seat to that, and you're going to be able to maximize this very large conference. And it's almost like having a very, very small conference, very, very, very small, like very, very like small study group inside of this massive conference, which is one of the things that I have heard from people. It's so big that it is overwhelming. Well, I can tell you during the mastermind, at some point, we're going to pull out that schedule, and people are going to be like, what talk am I going to go to? What talk are these going to go to? Like, which ones do you think are good? And like, you're going to be able to like have a plan, not just for your year, but also just how to tackle the week of this very, very, very large, amazing, but overwhelming conference to many people.
Yeah, I mean, I think the other thing is that it is overwhelming, but like think of it as a launch pad for your 2023, because all the presentations end up online eventually, including last year. So you could watch our presentations from last year and everybody's presentation from last year, I think going all the way back for like 4 or 5 years. They're all on the 20 Books YouTube channel. But yeah, I do think that it's overwhelming if you try to, you know, try to do like all 190 talks, you know, if you're thinking like, how can I get to all this? But, you know, I think just trust yourself that you're going to end up in the right spaces. I'm not a person who goes into a conference with a plan, and I kind of prefer it that way. You know, obviously I know when I have to speak, so that's like the one plan that I have basically. But I always trust that like I'm going to find something cool to do. Like, I think that's the good thing about 20 Books is like everybody's really nice, everyone's really friendly. You are going to find things to do. People are going to invite you to go do stuff with them. You are going to like show up at a place, and somebody's going to be like, hey, we're all going to lunch and I'm buying, or whatever it is. You're going to have those experiences of just fun and coolness when you go. And you're going to be able to talk to really a lot of people, like 190 people, or 190 talks was the last number that I heard, which is probably going to balloon to over 200. And so that means you have a lot of people who know a lot of stuff that are going to be at this conference. And you're going to be able to meet like any and all of them that you want to meet. You're going to be able to like sit across the table from them at lunch. You're going to be able to have a conversation with them in like there's like a great hall type of area. There's a couple of like big spaces, but you know, you're going to be able to hear them speak on stage, or and talk to them afterward and ask questions. So I think that's another hugely valuable thing. If you're like, I don't, you know, I like this person online, but I don't know them. I mean, we know a lot of people who we, you know, we're kind of just, I don't know, like, I don't want to say lurking, but they were kind of like just not even quite in our peripheral, but they came, you know, they came to a couple of our talks and they came up afterwards and chatted with us. And now we know them, and we chat with them, and we know what their business is about. We cheer them on, and like, you know, all that stuff that is also really important to have just people around you who are excited about what you're up to.
Yeah. So whether you do the mastermind or not, I highly recommend you at least consider doing 20 books. It's a very large conference, but they actually do quite a good job of having mixers and like genre specific meetups and all of the other things to make it feel smaller. I mean, you could go the whole conference and like there are things like Brian Cohen had a pizza party last year, and there was like a meetup for every genre. There were like karaoke days. We went one day to area 19 and did the Meow Wolf exhibit there. So like there's all this, and there was like that was just a couple of the events. There were literally like as many events at least as talks on top of that. So I think I went to like 2 or 3 talks last year because I was doing so many other things. Okay, so I want to get to, we've talked about masterminds. We talked about 20 books. The next big thing is like, it's expensive. Like it's expensive. Like we're asking $2,500 for this thing. And like, how is this worth $2,500, Monica? Like how do we have the cojones to like charge $2,500 for this thing when it's only one day?
Yeah, it's a very good question. So this $2,500, it will be $3,500 eventually. So there's a deadline on the Kickstarter, and we are going to adjust that as needed. So yeah, I mean, I think that the value is really in the network and the connection that you build with people. So it really is the relationships. The other piece of the value, I think, is just like you can scour the internet for questions and like advice and all this stuff, but having people who just kind of know what they're doing and know what they're talking about, look at your stuff and just be like, this, and this. This is what to do, and to say it in like 30 seconds or a couple minutes, be able to explain it to you, be able to explain why, be able to tell you what to do next. I think that's almost invaluable because you can waste years and years spinning your own wheels trying to figure it out, or you can waste tons of ad money spinning your wheels trying to figure it out, or you could just kind of cut to the chase. So I think that alone is probably going to save you. It will at least save you $2,500 if it doesn't make you like 10,000. We do well. First of all, we have a track record of making people 10 grand or 20 grand, even like just through the Kickstarter Accelerator, which we do. So we have a really strong track record of helping people like get their financial investment back very quickly from working with us, and then I think the networking is like actually even bigger, like if that's even possible. So, I think that the initial financial investment will be returned somewhat quickly, like within the first 6 months. I would imagine you'd be able to either earn your money back or you've saved $2,500. But then the networking over the long term is just like, I mean, there are some connections that I've had. And even the first mastermind that I went to, it was $5,000, but the guys that ran it, they later mentioned one of my books on their podcast, and that book went on to sell like 20,000 copies, and then became the foundation of like the business that we are doing right now, or like one of the foundational pieces. So I would never say that like I have my whole career in teaching authors self-publishing or that piece of my career. I wouldn't say that I have that because of these guys. It's not to say I couldn't have gotten there on my own, but I would say that's a pretty huge boost to have 20,000 copies of your first book in the field or in this niche, on like your exact target audience's Kindles. That's just huge, and that's something that like I couldn't have bought that. Like they're not just gonna spread their cachet like for no reason. They only did that because they liked me and because I had invested in a relationship with them, financially and also time wise. Just going, I like basically took a train to Austin to hang out with them for a weekend. So I don't know. So that's my answer. Russell, what would you add to that?
Yeah, so I think I'll break down just like the financial constraints of this $2,500, since it's not $3,500. Like you get $1,000 basically for off by backing before the campaign ends, and probably wouldn't jump it up to $3,500 immediately, but like that is like what we were originally planning to sell this for before we decided to give a discount. So Monica and I each charge $350. You're at 350
No,
now, right?
I do 250, but
So
350.
I'm at
Yeah.
350. Monica's at 250. That means $600 an hour. So multiply that by 8 to 10 hours of our time, and that's $6,000 right there. Like that there's like a huge value in just that amount. You also, however, get access to our Kickstarter Accelerator, which is going to it's not open. It will open later this month at $800. The last time it was it opened at 500 and closed at 800. So that's an $800 value. So now we're at almost $7,000 of value. You're going to get all of our nonfiction books, which is I don't even
A
like.
couple $100.
Yeah, it's $300. I think I said
Yeah.
$300. I looked it up last time. So like that is definitely $7,000. But you also get access to our Go Wide, Grow Wide Incubator for a year. There's another $1,200. So somebody asked was, okay, do I get this moving forward? Like, do I get the mastermind help moving forward? And like the answer I didn't have a great answer for at the moment, but now I do, because you will have access to the Go Wide, Grow Wide Incubator. And if you don't know what that is, Monica's basically going to take you through every step of every platform and more over the course of a year. And Monica can talk a little bit more about that. But like you get all of this stuff plus breakfast, lunch, dinner at the mastermind event.
Right.
Plus, we're going to have breakfast pre-breakfast every morning planning of while we're there. So you're going to get a little bit of time with us each time, plus time on the floor, plus all of whatever the other stuff that we're doing. So like, yes, it's a lot, but you're getting a lot of value in return. And if you've been thinking about joining the Kickstarter Accelerator and thinking about joining the incubator, like you're going to get those and then also get a whole day with us. And like, let's be fair, like a whole day becomes a week, and like, you're going to get just more access because you put the most amount of money in. Like, I mean, it's just at some level, the more money someone spends, the more you think that they value your time, and the more you're going to like. We are very committed to everyone in the accelerator. If you're part of our accelerator, I think you can confirm across the board that whether you think that we've done enough or not, like we are there every day showing up, and like those people pay $500, $800. Like imagine how much we're going to show up to someone who's paying 3 times that amount of money.
Yeah. I mean, like honestly, the people on my radar right now the most that like I'm looking at their stuff, I'm like answering their questions, not in the accelerator, but really just like in the general community. A lot of them are in the accelerator, or they've backed one of our projects or something. Like that's kind of I mean, honestly, that's how to get on our radars right now, because we have a lot of other people who want to be on our radar, and we can't like I don't want to say we ignore them, but we're not invested in them because they're not invested in us. So like we want to invest in people who we can see like are really invested in us, but also invested in themselves. Like if you've spent $2,500 on anything, like you're probably going to do something in publishing next year. You're probably going to like actually do the things we encourage you to do, or you're going to like implement a lot more, versus somebody who's just like, they just want attention or energy, but they're not actually going to do the work. Like I don't want to really talk to those people for the most part.
People are all over the place of like demanding your energy, but then not actually investing, not even in this. Like we're not, I don't even like, I do care if you come to this mastermind, don't get me wrong. Like it's not cheap to run it, but like really, like there's so many people that are not invested in themselves. And I do want to talk, because one of my bullet points is investment versus expenses and the poverty mindset of 99% of authors. So like, we all know authors who are like this, who think everything should be free and think that they should not have to run ads and all of that stuff. And like, on a moral high ground argument, like, I can't say that you're wrong. Like, the best things should rise to the top. Like, the best books should be the ones that sell millions of copies. But that is not the case. The books that are the most successful do have some, like, they have quality. Don't get me wrong. I'm not shitting on popular books. Like, I love popular books.
Yeah.
Like, but I am saying that, like, on top of that, all of those authors started thinking about the money that they're spending, not on, I don't have the money to do this. They started thinking of, is this investment going to lead to return? And those are two very different conversations. I am not saying to invest in everything that comes along. I am not saying to, like, invest in this mastermind, although I think you should. Like, I'm not saying to invest in our accelerator, but like, it's really, like, it's so different to talk to successful authors, because like, a lot of them will drop 10 grand, like, without, even if they don't have the money to spend 10 grand, like, they'll do it on ads or whatever, because like, or redoing a cover or redoing a series or like whatever, because they know, they've done the calculus and they're like, well, 10 grand, like, I could probably make, I could almost assuredly make the 10 grand back.
Right.
But I can probably there's a pretty good chance I'll make 20 grand, and there's an off chance I'll make 50 grand or something,
or 100 grand. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So like, there's this mentality that is pernicious, and it's not just in publishing, but it's in every industry, where it's like, every dollar you spend is a dollar you, like, lose. And I think if you think like that, like, it is a self-fulfilling prophecy, because and the reason is because you'll say, oh, why would I spend $200 or $500 on a great cover where I could make my own cover for free? And you're like, well, the $500 cover will make you $5,000, and
Right.
the cover you made yourself is so bad that, like, I can't even look at it. No one will buy this book. And so, like, it goes into everything, this investment of, like, and then, yes, once you invest in the cover, guess what? You've got to get a good blurb. And like, you probably have to, like, pay someone for a blurb if you've not done this before. And like, or at least go to a class on blurb making. And like, but once you do all of these things, there's a reason why those are the standard things that people tell you to do. Get a great cover, write a great book, get good formatting, like, write a great blurb. Like, those are the things you have to do. And if you think of those as expenses, like, you're going to do it all yourself, and you're never going to learn how to do it right. And whether you think your blurb is great, the only thing that will get sales is if readers think that it's great. And so, again, cannot stress enough, like, I do want to see you in this mastermind. I do, like, and this is the reason why we're spending hours doing this thing.
Yeah.
But if all I can do is convince you that the spending $200 and spending $1,000 is, like, a very bad investment, because there is a level of quality that you have to spend in order to have a legitimate chance at success. And if you do your own covers and they're great and they're successful, you probably spent hundreds of hours learning art and, like, learning how to do a cover well, and learning how, like, the elements of a cover. And like, I have friends who do their own covers. Monica does her own cover. She's also an artist. She also does she's been doing this for years, and, like, she knows how to do covers. Like, I'm not saying don't do your own covers. I'm saying that, like, if you don't have the skills to do your own covers, if you're not taking cover courses, if you've not, like, talked and spoken with other cover artists, if you've not studied the covers, then, like, you're going to do a bad job. And spending $200 to do a bad job is way worse than spending $1,000 to do, like, a good job, because the odds you will succeed at doing a bad job are zero. The odds you will succeed doing a good job are not 100%. They may not even be 50%, but they are exponentially more than zero. And so if you can just start thinking, this is not an expense, this is an investment. And then you have to look at, is this investment worth it? Like, does this investment legitimately return money? And like this accelerator, like this mastermind, like, I think has a legitimate, very good shot of not just making you money, like of not just breaking even over a year, but like exponentially
Yeah.
increasing the amount of money that it returns, because there is something like there's this thing that's like, oh well, it's only 8 hours, so like it's not worth $2,500. But like, look, if I could say I'm going to get in the room with the right people, and in 3 minutes they could tell me how to revolutionize the business and fix it, like that is worth a huge amount of money for me. Like that, like going to the mastermind this year, the other masterminds that I participate in, like they are worth it because like they stop me from doing bad things and they show me how to do good things. Now we will see like whether the covers that we did from the last mastermind work when they release on retailers, but like I am 9,000% confident in this particular approach, as opposed to having the old covers, which I could have just not done the covers, not made the investment, not gone to the thing, and then it may have been okay, but I don't know how good the return, the ROI of the ads would have been if I had just done the covers and done it the right way.
Yeah, I mean, I think, the thing about, so when I was going into my very first mastermind, so it was literally the scenario. It was a $5,000 mastermind. The guys were selling it off of their Kickstarter campaign, which I was like, this is weird. I've never seen this before. But going to that, I mean, it was a huge risk, and I didn't have the money to spend and all that, all the things that we tell ourselves. And I really didn't have the money to spend. But like, somehow I did find the money, I guess. I think I just used like all of my savings, and then I took a train instead of a plane. And then my boyfriend at the time, who's now my husband, he paid for my train trip back so that I didn't run out of money while I was there. And just to be clear, the train trip back was $120. So like, talk about like really cutting it close. Like I like literally did not even have the pennies for $120 train ticket. Or else it would have eaten into like I would have just like not been able to eat, or like not been able to pay for a hotel room, or, just like ridiculous, cutting it close at the time. And I was going through a divorce, so that was part of why. But so anyway, didn't have all of that, but I kind of had to take a leap of faith, and just be like, I'm going to try this, and it's probably going to work in some way. So went to the thing, and the people, so like the reason we were there was to, like, the actual thing of, of the event was like, we're going to write books in this world that they had created. And that world like completely fell apart. They didn't continue. They wrote a couple books in it. They never did anything after that. The books did not end up selling at all. Their books didn't. So it made the world like very unvaluable, basically, to be writing in. So like that whole purpose for even going to the event completely fell apart. And so you could look at that and be like, wow, that was $5,000 invested in something that didn't end up working out. But like the things that did work out from it were worth way more than $5,000. Like I made way more than $5,000 since that event, because of that, were on things that were like directly tied to them just being on my side, being on my team, being supportive of me. And two of the people so there were 5 of us that paid to go to this. 2 of the other people out of the other 4 people ended up, we started our own little accountability mastermind that is still going to this day. So this was back in 2014. It's 2022. We're on our 8th year of meeting. And then those people have also introduced me to like everybody, like everyone, and I've introduced them to other people too, but like we've all grown together, and they're very successful. And I like to think that I am also successful and that I've helped them as well. But like it kind of snowballed, like things snowball. Another thing that snowballed is that I got to be on their podcast as part of this thing. And so I did that, and then I got on like a bunch of other podcasts because of that, because people like, it was a huge podcast in the industry, and everybody was like, "Oh, I heard you on this podcast, so I invited you onto my podcast." And like one of those was the Creative Pen, which is a huge opportunity, or is still, and was at the time, a huge opportunity for me as like a nobody writing a book about, writing or whatever it was. And I just think it's hard for us to tell you how this is going to transform your life, but I know it will, because every mastermind that I've invested in personally has changed my life. It's always introduced me to people who are serious in the industry, who like somehow helped me in a really big way down the line. And it might even be like years down the line that relationship kind of the relationship pays off like immediately usually, but the relationship pays off financially in like some weird way later. And so that's always what happens with this. So
Yeah. Well, and like you can take this part to the bank, is like, I won't let it not be valuable to you. I just won't. Like
it's very true.
Like it will weigh on me daily until I think that it is valuable enough to you. Like whether that is 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 years, like it just will. Like Monica can attest. Like I do not joke around with this stuff. Like it is a character flaw, but like it is a thing that like just I will not let it not be valuable. Like I will not let anyone think that like on a Kickstarter, like I won't let them not be happy.
Right.
Just will not do that. And like if whether they spend $5 or $50 or $500.
Yeah.
So I do want to say I want to move on to the next part of this, which we kind of have covered a lot of this stuff already, but like so here's where I think most authors are in their lives is they've got a lot of information. They've got probably all of the pieces that they need. A lot of them have all of the pieces that they need. But so like I used to play Tomb Raider and all of those kind of like puzzly games when I was a kid. I don't so much play them anymore, but like I remember there was one, I think it was from Tomb Raider, I'm not sure, where like there was a door on a rock face and like there were a bunch of pegs and like you had to, and then there were a bunch of cogs on the ground, and you had to like put the cogs in the right place, in the right order, and then turn this crank and the door opened. And like, what happens? Like you put a couple of the cranks on and pegs on in different places and you spin it. And like, you've got a couple of the pieces, the door doesn't open. Then like you put some pieces in, you put a bunch of the pieces, you're like, is this the one that works? And then like you turn it and like, no, the one, and like, oh, I thought this was the way to open the door. But like, you've done a lot of work. Maybe you've done it multiple times and the door's not opening. And then you realize that like, oh, or maybe your brother or sister come in and like, oh, you need to put that little peg like right over there. Or like, you need to take these, like, this is how I did it. Or like you open a Game Informer or whatever it is. And like, you suddenly are like, oh, I just spent 2 hours on this puzzle and somebody unlocked it for me in 3 seconds. And like, and I think that's where a lot of authors are. Either they have several cogs on the pegboard in the right order, but they can't turn it because they don't have all of them. Or they've got them in the wrong order. They think they have them in the right order, or they're just all laying on the ground and like, I don't know how to make this. I have all of these assets. I've got book and cover and blurb and mailing list. And like, I don't know how this all like smashes together to make it a thing. And then maybe it's like, oh, well, you see that pegboard over there? Like you got to put the stuff on the pegboard. Otherwise it's not going to work. You just got pieces. And like wherever it is, like there's some malfunction in the puzzle that like somebody can come along and in 5 seconds, just like, or 10 seconds or 2 hours or 5 hours, be like, here are all of the pieces that you have. Here are the pieces you don't have. Here is how you line this up in the proper way. And like, this is how you open the door. And like, to me, that's like the thing aside from the community and all that stuff, which I agree with, like, the thing that we can help you with is because this mastermind is not a course. It's not a thing. It's like 5 or 6 people who are going to be there. It's our ability to say, well, I know you told me this. Maybe you're in another group that we're in. I know you told me this before. Can you like just bring me behind your back end? Like, I'm not just gonna like be like, can you bring me behind your back? And I see your mailing list? Can I see your last like 5 emails? Like, I'm not going to do that in a group, because like, that is not the kind of thing that like I would do. That's not the relationship that we have. But in this mastermind, like, I would. And I have often said with people that are in the thing, like, probably your mailing list is the problem. Probably this is the problem.
Mm-hmm.
What I really mean is like, man, I wish I could like see behind your Facebook ad account and like see how you're running ads and see all your creatives and see how you're creating creatives and see how your covers are, because like, I don't know where the flaw is.
Right.
I only know the flaw is, I only know you have said this is a problem. And I only know this one small section, which is Kickstarter or Wide or whatever, but like, I don't have the full scope. So what we're hoping to do in this mastermind, aside from the community and all the other stuff, is like, be able to dig in and like, maybe you have the pegboards in the right place, but the door's opening too slow. How do you open it faster? Maybe whatever the place is, we can like literally look behind all of the dashboards and see, oh, well, here's where the disconnect is, right here. And like, that one insight alone might save you or make you 50 grand next year. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, well, so I'm just gonna say this because I don't know if Russell is gonna be okay with this, but I think you're like a genius. I just want to say that you're like a genius at this, and like at like sales, marketing, business stuff. And I do, I think we help each other on that too. But I just think like, I mean, and everybody I talk to who has like a one-on-one conversation with you is like, they solved my problem in like, or he solved my problem in like 5 minutes. So this is, I say that because like, I don't know, I consider myself like a very savvy person at business marketing and sales to some extent as well. But I just feel like Russell has like, he just has a knack for doing this. And like, I can't even tell you how many of my like friends, like people I've known for a long time, who have like maybe introduced you to, or maybe you knew them already or whatever, like maybe they're mutual friends, but they'll be like, yeah, I had a conversation with him and he fixed my problem. And there was even someone at the mastermind we were at who they had a hot seat scheduled, and you talked to them for like 5 minutes and they were like, cancel my hot seat, I know what to do now. It's just like, so like they didn't even need the hot seat anymore. So I just want to say that like, this is the real deal, because I think it's very hard to say that about ourselves, like to say that like we're the real deal, but it's easier to say that about, like it's just, I don't know, like I think there are a lot of people who like, they shouldn't be doing a mastermind, or they shouldn't be doing a mastermind for 2,500. But like, I think that probably for us, like it's probably underpriced, realistically. So I just want to add that. Okay,
and Monica, you are like one of those. You are probably the person I've learned the most from in publishing in all of the years that I've known you. So like, I mean, crazy. Honestly, like like, there's a mutual admiration that both of us have. Yeah. Obviously, we're working together. We felt a very a business on both of our work that we've both given a lot to, both just the fact that we've like put a lot of our own work into it and a lot of our other work into it. So like, we believe in it, but like, I just don't think we would we would offer something we didn't believe wholeheartedly would change. Like we didn't know. To go back to the accelerator, we didn't know what the accelerator would be beforehand. So we charged $100 for it, right? Like we charged, like, we're going to do a sprint. And like, I know I can deliver value on $100. And it wasn't until we saw that thing of what we knew it would become that we've been able to like grow it and scale it as it became more and more powerful to people. Like, we're very conscious of that part of it. And one of the reasons we wanted to do this at the beginning of the event instead of at the end of the event is because if we do it at the beginning, then you have an action plan. You can then go and talk to all of these people. You can then report back of what you've learned, and you can like get more value out of it. So it's not, if we did it at the end, it'd be like, oh yeah, here's how to take all of these pieces and put them together, but you don't know what you're looking for. It's like you might come and say, oh, I really want to learn, like, I don't know, like cover design. You're like, no, you need to learn Facebook ads because you've got cover design. So many people that I know, and this, I met with 2 people at Comic-Con, and they both who had this problem where they were like focused on the creative. They were focused on like making the books. And I told them both, you make books good enough. Like the creation is not the problem here. Like you have to move to marketing. Like you know how to make a good book. Your problem is that people, and not everyone can. Like someone might come and be like, I know I'm hot crap. And like, I know like I'm hot shit and I can like make a book, and you look at it and you're like, well, I don't know. Like this first chapter reads like a 4-year-old wrote it. Like the cover is, that's probably not going to, someone's probably not going to spend $2,500 and like not be able to write a book, but like it might happen. But more often than not, people are like spinning their wheels, getting logarithmic returns on the creating process. And what they really need is someone to say, you need to talk to this person, and this person, and like go now, and like they will be the people that will, because that's another part of this mastermind that like, you know, if you're in here and like, let's say you're having a Facebook ad problem, or like a problem with structure, whatever it is, like if you have a Facebook ad problem with, like, we know, like not only do we know who to send you to, like we will walk you onto that floor and introduce you personally to that person and make sure that like you have time scheduled or something with them. Like that's the kind of thing that you can do when you do this before the week and not after the week.
Yeah. And the other thing is like, we kind of know everybody that's there, or like we have no issue really like getting an introduction to them. So that's the other thing I think about that is like, we've both been publishing for a very long time. So we just know a lot of people. So it's like, if you need access to this person, like we can make it happen.
We also know who to steer away from or who does not have bona fides also, which is a big problem. Like when you go to a big conference like this, like there's a lot of people who are going to guarantee that they're going to return you X, Y, and Z. And you can be like, I've never heard of them. Like, I don't know, like, let's look at their thing. But like, I've personally never heard of them. If I were this person, I would do this. I would go to this person because like, I know for sure they will return for you.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Talked a little bit about myths for masterminds. Like, I think I can just go through this kind of quickly, but like, you know, one of the myths is that it's for people who have it all figured out. Like it's literally the opposite. Like it's for people that have some of it figured out, but have big questions about other things, like big, like questions that if they did it wrong would cost them a lot of money or time.
Yeah. Like right now, I'm just thinking of like, you know, one of the big questions, maybe because I have this workshop like an hour after this thing, but people are trying to get into direct sales, and I've just been kind of following people's websites and stuff, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, not to say that this can't work, but like this is not anything like what I don't know who they are learning from or who they are figuring out the direct sales piece from, but like I'm like, this is not at all how Russell or I teach this. I've never seen anybody do it this way or like succeed this way. So not to say that doesn't work, but like, I do feel like there's someone out there in direct sales that's like, yeah, I don't know. It doesn't have all the pieces in place, but is telling people to do their websites this way, or telling people to do direct sales this way. So like, that's like the type of question that we feel we can answer. If you're like, man, I really want to get like direct sales figured out for 2023, like come to this mastermind event, because that is something that I feel like we can resolve for you in like probably like an hour or less of like your whole entire strategy for how to do direct sales. Kind of the opposite of some of the stuff I'm seeing in it. And so that's the type of big question I think that you're talking about, Russell. Or like, absolutely. How can I take my Kickstarter campaign from like, I did a 10 grand one, like I want to go to like 20 grand or 30 grand or something. Like we can't guarantee we can get you to 30 grand, but like, yeah, like you want to double your campaign. Like you did a good job on the last one. You want to double it now. Like come to our come to our thing, because that's a very big question to ask, and we probably can't help you through like a comment section. Like, we're not going to double your campaign just by like talking to you in comments. And you don't necessarily, you can ask questions and like kind of incrementally try to get there, but a lot of times these things are like big picture strategy that you need to like almost be thinking about it a completely different way. So I'm just seeing that with the direct sales thing right now. So I thought it was worth throwing in there.
No,
So,
and that's like, I think where the industry is, like where like direct sales is the thing that like the big question. I think Kickstarter has been the big question for like a couple years. It's become like, but now that it's like, okay, but now Kickstarter's opening the thing, and Patreon was before that. And now it's like, okay, I need a direct sales strategy. I can't just have like a couple of disparate things. Like, I need something that works like together. And like, I've had my own fiction app. Like, Monica has like a group and a book on fiction apps. Like, we have basically best practices across everything that you could possibly be doing, including, frankly, KU also. Like, we know, we both
know a
very,
lot about it, yeah.
like, I wrote one of the definitive guides, blog post, like 10,000 words about the KU versus Wide strategies. Like, I'm very well versed in it. I just, because of how I do it, I prefer Wide. But like, we know how to make the best impact on KU as well. Monica, you kind of touched on this, is for people who have lots of disposable income. I've known plenty of people who dropped 25 grand on their credit cards for a mastermind that like they ended up getting 250 back. I'm not saying to put this all on a credit card. But.
Yeah, no, we're not saying that. I mean, I think what it is like, what I would do is I would check in your gut. Like, if you know that you're supposed to be there in that room, like if you're just hearing this and you're like, this is exactly what I need, just know that like you're going to figure out the money side of it. Because I think people say no to themselves before they even get a chance to decide, like, do I even want to do this or not? Like, so if you're one of those people who like saw 2,500 and you're like, I don't spend money like that, like, that's cool, but I would just, I would ask yourself, like, why are you watching, like, really, why are you watching this? Or like, why are you learning more about it? If you don't want to do it, like, I think you probably do want to do it. And so in that case, the money stuff will kind of come into, you'll kind of start to figure it out once you just like realize and decide, like, yeah, like, this is something I want to do. And like, be willing to even just let yourself think about it, like picture yourself there, like see yourself doing it, regardless of the price tag. And then later on, you can be like the disciplinarian to yourself of like, how am I going to afford this? But I do think people, they say they don't want to do it as a way to avoid just having to figure out the money stuff. So I don't think it's for people with disposable income. I think it's for people who are like really committed to themselves and to their careers. I think that's like probably the core thing that I've seen at any mastermind. It's not people who necessarily have the money to do it. It's just like these people are like so committed that they were willing to figure out the money.
Yeah, and commitment is a little bit a hard word to maybe think about, but like, I think sick of playing the game at the level that they are at. Like, a lot of times when I see mastermind people, it's like, hey, I have tried all of the things that I've been told, and like, some of them worked a little bit of time, but like, I need to get to the next level. I'm so sick of spending 1, 2, 4, 8 years like at this level. Like, I need to get to the next people. And like, I think Russell and Monica are the people that can do it. And like, I will take 8 to 10 hours of their time, and then, and like really be confident I'm going to move to the next level. And that's, I think, more than like, when I started in film before I moved to books in 2010. And like, I put $35,000 on a credit card, and like, I just bought a bunch of gear, and like, I got to make a movie and some short films and like stuff. And like, I kind of learned myself. But like, I'll tell you, if I could go back and spend $5 grand on a mastermind that told me how to make a film, got in the right rooms, I probably would be a filmmaker still today, because I beeped and bopped around so much that I just I learned all I could. I needed something. And I when I hit that level, what I said was like, well, I don't have the energy to do this anymore. I'm just done with filmmaking. And I happened to get in an accident. I couldn't at the time. So like, it made some sense. We moved across the country. And anyway, there were other reasons besides just that. But like, I just was like, I need to cut. I can't keep doing this.
Yeah.
So like, I think that there are a lot of people at that place. And that's that to me, whether you're the most successful author that you know, whether you're the least successful author, everyone is banging their head against some strategy that they can't put something around. And I think between the 20 years we've been in business and just the dogged, like crazy level of the committed level that we study business things to a level that like, I don't know anyone who like studies business books and business techniques more than the two of us, and then can translate it to publishing in the way that the two of us can. Like, it's just, we probably know something about some obscure niche over here that's doing something that will save your business or fix your business or make your business work. Because like Monica and I in a Slack channel very often will be like, have you seen this crazy webinar over here? And like, I learned these 4 things from it. And like, it just, like, I'm constantly taking courses and other stuff just because I like doing it, and I'm okay learning one thing from it. And I'm happy to bring all of those things as a disseminator for you.
Yeah. And so like one of these points is you can figure it out by yourself. So I think, Russell, you've spoken to that or started to speak to that. I would also just say, like, why would you want to? Like, that's the question that I don't understand. Like, why do you want to struggle and spend like 2 or 3 years figuring it out by yourself when you could just like get support? And I think it just goes back to that thing of like, people don't think they're worthy of support. People don't think that the support is worth it, which is like the same exact thing. Like, if you don't think if you don't think we're worth like 2,500 or whatever, it's like, you probably don't think you're worth an investment of 2,500 anywhere, like, just to be honest.
Or you think that money's just going out the door. It's like, I can't afford to just waste.
Right.
It's like, well,
it's not
but yeah, I mean, I did spend 10 years doing this myself, and like, it's stupid. It was stupid. Like, I thought like I could not, like it was not worth it. Like if I did not spend, if I let someone else help me, then like it would be like it wouldn't be as valuable, or like I wouldn't have actually made it myself, or like whatever. And then I learned is like, everyone who's a self-made person has tons of people who help them all of the time. That's like the thing they do.
That's like how they got there.
and every time I was like, how did that person succeed like above me? I've been doing this for longer. And it's like, oh, they joined that thing or this thing, or like they had this person do a thing for them. And I'm like, how do I do that? And then I learned, oh, you could just pay somebody to do, you could just like,
true.
And it like, so often it comes down to like the relationships. Like you're probably not going to do this unless you know how to make a good book. Like, so like, maybe you will, but like the value is really once you have good books and you want to figure out how to do them. I think coming in here, like Monica is great at like doing the process stuff, but like, if you're doing this, like you probably have been writing books, them being good books, and like you're stuck at the same level. And like, I don't know many people who got through there without somebody bringing them through there to the next level. Like, whether it was like a
including
friend,
us.
Including us. But friend, colleague, conference. Like, I've had one of my biggest breakthroughs was a friend of mine. We were talking about romance authors, and I was like, at the time I was like, you can't make money on fiction books. You just can't do it. And she's like, she just literally flipped her dashboard around to her Facebook ads thing and was like, she had made $100,000 or something that month from like the thing from like her fiction. And literally, like, I went from that day like saying you cannot make money on fiction to going all in on fiction books from that one. All she did, we talked for like an hour, and then she literally just slid her thing around. I was like, I don't understand how you do it. This was the next morning, actually, now that I remember. The next morning, she's like, hey, remember what we talked about yesterday? She literally just flipped her thing around. And like, she had her Facebook ad dashboard and her KDP dashboard. And I was like, what the, and it took me a while after that. I'd have loved to pay her for consulting or something to figure that. But like, you know, I had to recover books like a bunch of times. So I did not know how to write fiction, to market fiction. But like that one moment, like seeing, like they were at a bar writing a book, and we struck up a conversation, and like after an hour, like that 1 hour, like literally changed my life. But I had to be in the right place at the right time at that conference at that moment. Like, and that happens more often than not. Like
Right.
that, it's just some confluence of ideas of putting yourself in the right place enough times that like you get it. And like that,
Yeah.
it might take 2 or 3 years to like deliver on that. You know, this is 2017. And literally a week later, I was writing the first God's First book. Like that, like that's how, and it took till 2020 for me to even start seeing a return on that. But like that moment changed and codified so much for me. And so, yeah, you can figure out a lot of it by yourself, but the connective tissue between them, and that's what books do kind of well. But like that's what is so hard is I know all of the disparate elements. How do they connect together in a way that is powerful and multiply at top of each other?
Yeah, and I think there is this like feeling around cheating, like, oh, I'm cheating if I get like an introduction or if I, pay to play or whatever. And it's like, I mean, that is the cheat code. like for example, we want to build our presence in speaking. And so we do get some speaking opportunities just from like being in this industry for like 7 to 10 years each and like talking about this stuff all the time. So we get that, but that was the hard way to do it. Like we realized like, oh, we can just like pay for a sponsorship at this event and then they'll let us speak. And it's like,
Yeah.
why wouldn't we do this? Like, and I just think like, I don't know, I just think, kind of like the people who are doing, who are succeeding, they are like not that they haven't earned their spot there, but they also they are willing to kind of play that game a little bit more, and just like be a part of the ecosystem of like, of course, like I mean, the other thing is like it sounds like a pay to play, but it's also like, well, wouldn't I want to support this conference that is like potentially going to be supporting my business? So to me, it's just an exchange of value. And it's just like me valuing the conference organizers wanting to support the conference. And as part of that, they want to work with me more. And so I just think there's just something to be said for like this energetic exchange of just like honoring other people's value. And then it's like,
Yeah.
well, then they honor yours,
I mean, I can give you a very specific non-mastermind example of this, because like I'd earned my spot
right
to like be here today.
Yeah.
Like years ago, like, I don't know, 2018, 17, 18. I've been talking about Kickstarter for publishing and like publishing stuff since 2011 when I did my first speaking engagement. It wasn't, and like the publishing industry, with some very minor exceptions, did not care what I had to say. It was not until I signed with Monica and she literally took the stuff that I mean, it's all repurposed stuff that I had said before. Like all of the stuff that I wrote like they're all from books that people said did not matter. That like publishing industry professionals said did not matter. It's the same exact information. And then to come around in like less than a year when we did that Kickstarter and it raised over 20 grand, and then to come to 20 books and Monica to walk me around and like introduce me to people, and then mastermind, like I had earned my spot the hard way of like doing it myself. But it was not until somebody said, no, you should actually, someone that mattered in the publishing community who actually said, no, you should really listen to them, that suddenly like all of the doors opened. It was a literal night and day moment. Like once we launched that Kickstarter book.
That is true. Yeah, I would say, I mean, the other thing with that Kickstarter book is like, we like worked really hard for that first, like to get to that first 10 grand. Like it was a uphill battle. But then once it hit that, and then once we went to the conference, everyone's like, "Ooh, Kickstarter!" Like everyone was excited about it, and we were like, "We like Russell's literally been talking about this for like 5 to 7 years. Like you've been trying to like you've been posting in groups, and like all these people like online, like you knew a bunch of the authors already." And yeah, it is bizarre. We literally just took like all of Russell's little content and like it's in the new book. Like I mean yeah, we did have to add to it a little bit, but like a lot of the book is just like Russell's had that published for like I don't know, like 5 years,
Yeah, and
and it was free on his blog or whatever. Like,
yeah, exactly. And so
now you know our
like
secret.
so it's not that you don't earn your place, it's that you earn your
Yeah.
place. And like you smack against, like I would have
Mhm.
gone to this mastermind and been like, why is nobody taking me seriously? As like, look at all of the stuff that I've done.
Right.
And if Monica didn't know me, she probably would have been like, oh, well, like, let me introduce you to like these 5 people because this stuff is great already. Like, we're not
Mhm.
going to go out of our way to help somebody who doesn't have great work. But like, what generally happens, what I've seen from at least the one person who like who signed up so far, who actually like went through and paid, like their work is freaking great. Like their books are so good, and like they should be selling 1 billion copies. And the fact that they are not is irritating to me. And I
Mhm.
cannot wait to have Monica and myself look at it and be able to introduce them to like the world as like this person that wrote this incredible series.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. 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 It's just so hard to. I feel like it's so hard to like encapsulate the magic of what we're talking about, really, because that's what it is. We both experience this magic ourselves, but like to be able to say like, and you're going to experience it too, it's a really hard
yeah,
like we know that they're going to experience this magic, but it's hard to say like how it's going to happen. We
yeah,
can only share like our own stories around it.
yeah, and just like every movie, like I just watched Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris, which like you would love,
Yeah, I
Monica, if you
know.
haven't seen it. It's
I
so
have
good.
not, but I want
But
to.
it's like about this woman who goes to buy a Dior dress and like ends up like befriending like the head of the house of Dior because
Right.
she had because she literally they were trying to kick her out and she said no, she took all of the money that she was going to use to pay for it and like slammed it on a table and was like, no, I'm going to buy a dress. And they had to take her seriously. And like
Hmm.
the whole book is like the whole movie is probably the book. I'm guessing the book too, because it's based on a book, was about like her paying to have access to the people in Dior and then becoming friends with like this French model and like the head of accounting and the thing and like Mr. Dior himself. All of this stuff is like was happening because she literally took out money. And like so many movies that you watch are just like, oh yeah, this person did a great thing and then they met somebody who was in a position to help them and they helped them and then suddenly all of these doors opened up. Like it happens
Right.
so often that it's not that the person's not ready, it's that they needed something ephemeral that they could not get on their own or had
Right.
been unable to get on their own until then. Like every movie about like the Hudsucker proxy or like whatever like invention movie almost always has that like thing to it. They almost always meet that person.
Right.
I took the mastermind master class on the person who created Spanx, and it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
they got somebody to carry Spanx,
And
and
then it
then
snowballs. Yeah.
yeah, and then they went and they did all of the stuff to like do it, hand selling it and everything, and like going from store to store. But like
Hmm.
they got somebody who like mattered, a buyer to buy that thing and get it into
Right.
this suite of stores, and like they needed that thing, and even I mean, there's this whole like ethos and in like America exceptionalism where like we do it all ourselves, the
Hmm.
self-made person, and like the I've never seen a movie where the person did it all themselves. They always relied on somebody else at some point to like get to the place they needed to go, even if it was an assistant or like there's some connection they made that got them there. And like
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think part of being ready for that opportunity is like letting your ego go too, though. I mean,
Yeah.
because it's like it's ego that's telling you that you got to do it all by yourself, or you can't like pay or whatever it is. You know, the pretty woman moment in this Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris movie. You know, it's just it's like there's like everybody has this pretty woman moment where like you have to do something to make people take you seriously, and it's really, I think what you said, Russell, is like you're just done with this previous level. Like you're just done with it. And so like this could be the thing for you, and maybe it's not, but this could be the thing for you. I know for me it was to like invest in this mastermind. Like I was like just this person listening to this podcast, but then once I invested in that mastermind, it was like they took me seriously. Like they were like, this is somebody who like is actually going to do something, you know. And I just think that we all have those moments, and it's part of the process, to accept your mentor and then to like continue your hero's journey. Really, like that's why there's a mentor beat in like every single book on the planet, is because everybody has mentors. Like you don't. Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't build on. I mean, you build on the backs of everything that came before you.
Yeah.
So.
And so like we're going to cut through a couple of these sections and just go to who shouldn't attend. But before we do that, I just want to like, I've been invited to masterminds before this previous one that we did this year. And I felt like I wouldn't be taken seriously, which is why I said no, because I had not been taken seriously without like in my own thing. So, and I was like, it's not worth me going to wherever this mastermind is to like do this thing to be taken seriously. And it was very helpful that Monica and I had run this big campaign the year before. So like, I was kind of like the, like one of like the belle of the ball doing this thing. But like, what I found was, I was like, oh, these people, like, just because I was here, like it meant that I was like, they would have taken me seriously in previous years. And it was to my own detriment in previous years that I did not take advantage of doing masterminds, because my own thing like blocked me. And like, and so I get it, because like Monica's been doing these forever. Like I have not been doing them forever. Like I am like very brand new, just like you guys probably haven't done one. And so I feel deeply the wanting to do it on your own, the like not being taken seriously, that this isn't going to be of value, like yeah, all that other stuff. And what I wish I could say to my old self was stop getting in your own way. Mm-hmm. Like stop getting in your own way, and like understand that you're making an investment. Every time you make an investment, there's a chance of risk. There's a chance of failure, but it's also a chance of success. And instead of wallowing in the chance for failure, spend a second saying like, what if it does work? Mm-hmm. So you have any final thoughts before we move on to the next section?
So one of my friends said this to me, and it's just stuck with me for so many years. She was like, you've worked too hard to self-sabotage. So I feel like that's kind of what you're saying. And like I say that to myself all the time when I'm like, this is too hard, I don't want to do this, like, you know, like I'm having this like internal tantrum or whatever. I just tell myself like I've worked so hard already to like be self-sabotaging now, and so that really can help me get through it. And I think you know, if you're feeling called to this mastermind, I think that it's probably true for you too. It's like, just don't self-sabotage, because you probably have done a great job in 2022 and you have this amazing 2023 coming up, but like you need to come to this thing to get there. You know, and like you'll know if that's true for you. But if you're like, I feel like this is true for me, like don't self-sabotage. That's really all I would say. It's like, just do it.
There's always a chance to turn it around. So this is what people in publishing don't really, especially people who have not seen success. Once you've seen success, even if you haven't had success, like when I looked at other people that had success, like many of them have put out multiple series that failed, and like you just need Russell Brunson says you're one funnel away. And like, I think you're one book away. Like you're one book away from turning it all around. Like you can do it if you, it might be the book you're writing right now. It might not be the book you're writing right now, but like, I have seen so many people who failed for so long, who wrote one book or one comic and like they were 20 or 30 or 40, whatever it was. But like, you know, we talk about Craig Martell. Wasn't he like 55 when he put his first book out? Something like that, like in his 50s or
I don't know.
He was not young. He was not a young human. And he is very, very successful.
He's extremely successful, and he had a career in the military and then a career as a lawyer. So this is his third major career, and you know, like all sorts of challenges. But yeah, I think that, you know, well, I also come from a military family, but I think that military background of discipline is just, it can really like train you to persevere. I mean, persistence is just so important in like any industry, but it feels like especially in this one. So
for sure. All right. So who shouldn't attend our mastermind? Because like we do have a bunch of people who we think shouldn't attend. So if you're comfortable where you are right now, and you don't want to grow your business, if you have it all figured out or think you have it all figured out, if you aren't sure being a writer is for you, like if you're like on the fence and like you tried it and you don't love the process of writing, if you're just information gathering, like come to 20 books. Like come to 20 books.
True.
Say hi at 20 books because it's great for that. But like this mastermind is not for you if you fit any or all of those categories. Because like it is a big expense and we want to make sure that we're looking for the right people. Do you have any other types that you would add to that of?
Yeah, I think, I mean, like it's kind of the same thing, but like, yeah, it's somebody who like is ready to go in 2023. Cause like, that's when you're going to have to implement in order to make your money back from this event. So, and we, I mean, the thing is we have 100% success rate still in the Kickstarter Accelerator. And it's because if we see you struggling, like we are on you, like we are like helping you behind the scenes. Like people don't even know probably that we like you know, we send out to our email list or whatever. Like if we see you struggling, or we like, you know, we back your campaign, which then sends it out to our followers. And like there are all sorts of things we do to try to help. And so it's like, you know, we're kind of in like a no man left behind type of mentality where like we want to make sure that you get the value if you do the work. So like we can't make you do the work, but if you have done the work, we are going to do everything we can to support you. And so it's kind of the same thing with this. If you do the work for whatever, you know, whatever our plan is to help you, and, you know, this is obviously a plan that you are like totally bought into as well, like not just a plan that we've come up with for you. But if it's like you're on board with this plan and you do the work, like we're there to support you. And so we can't have anybody who's not ready to go in 2023, because we want to, I mean, we intend to maintain our 100% streak across everything we do.
Yeah, there's no value to us taking someone's money and then having them not succeed. It only hurts our brand.
It hurts us.
What helps our brand is if everybody or the vast majority of people have very, very good experiences and feel like we've given them way more than the value back. And so that is how we've built the brand from the beginning of like, we're going to give value to a ridiculous percentage. And I think we do that, both of us. I think we give back to in an absolutely a ridiculous percentage for what people give. And some people give a lot of money to like be in our programs. And like, we want to make sure that they are. The only way that makes sense for us to keep growing is if everyone has an exceptional experience, or if we at least foster an exceptional experience in everyone.
Yeah.
That being said, who are we looking for? So this is our list. So people who've published a couple books and are ready to get to the next level in the next 12 months. That could be 10 books, 50 books. It could be 3 books. It could be 2 books. But like, we need to at least see your writing. You doesn't have to be even a good book. Like we have to be able to at least see like, oh, well, like you're not ready here. Like if you don't at least have like a packaged book with like, maybe not a cover, but hopefully a cover. Like we don't have a package that we can look in and be like, yes, that's ready to go or not. Like it's going to be really hard for us to help us. who are ready to work hard to implement our vision, that we get together, who aren't going to like naysay every single thing that like we tell them, or like be contrarian to everything that we tell them. We don't mind pushback, but like we're on this journey together. Like it is our job to get you to the next level. And we're going to give you the best advice we have. Also, someone who thinks our advice is good advice that they want, like that, like that they want our advice, that they think we're the right person for them.
Right.
Who have who have some of the pieces, but don't know how to connect them together. We're in this for the long haul. Monica talked about this, we want, like, if you're going to be if you know you're going to be in publishing for 10 years, $2,500 to get yourself on the right foot is like, or moved is like nothing. If you're if you don't know if you're going to be there if you're not going to stay for the next book or the one after that, like, yeah, $2,500 is a lot, but like over a 10-year career, $2,500 is nothing, because we're trying to get you to be 6-figure authors as quickly as humanly possible.
Yeah.
And who understand the value of personalized attention. So who understand that reading every blog and being on every podcast and even listening to this is like only a piece of it. Like you need somebody to give you the attention to say, this goes here, this goes here, this goes there. And like to make it personalized to you, because all of the great advice that we give is like only as good as the implementation of that advice in the right way.
Yeah. Yeah. This is something that's come up for us a lot, where we just see that people, even people who like, they'll consume all our stuff, and then their implementation of it, we're like, this isn't like what we're intending for you to do. So I think that there is something to be said for, like a book can only take you so far, and then a program will take you further, but like it can still only take you so far. And then like one-on-one, like consulting or personalized attention, like a mastermind, whatever, like that can take you even further than the program could, than the book could. And we literally see, so something I've noticed this past year is we literally see the difference in how much the person makes. And it's a lot easier on Kickstarter, I think, which is why we actually have like these financial numbers of like, wow, this person only implemented like 20% of what we told them to, and their campaign shows it, versus this person implemented 80% of what we told them to, and their campaign shows it. And like the second campaign is like literally 5 to 10x higher than the other campaign, where we can see the like just vast differences in people's implementing our books or our course or whatever. And I think it's just the same is true with the mastermind. It's like we just see, we see like even just people like just doing the book, and then like they join the program, and like immediately their results just like go up, just from like implementing the program. And so we feel like the mastermind is like even more of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it allows us to literally go in and like fix stuff for you also. Like I'll personally go in and write email for you if I need to, or like change a blurb, or like whatever it needs to be. But that's the stuff that you'll get in here. So yeah, we're going to hold your hand, and we're getting into the end now. We've only got one major section left, which is I want to talk once again about the value stack, because I think this is where, look, you can love all the stuff that we say. $2,500 is still a lot of money for most people. Like I just spent $3,500 on a bunch of like camera gear and stuff, and it's like the third biggest amount of money I've spent this year. And the only other two are like books, like buying books. So like I get it, like it's a lot of money to like, but I just want to take this. So the original price was $3,500. If you buy during the Kickstarter campaign, we're taking $1,000 off of that. So it's $2,500. Now for $2,500, you also get access to Monica's Go Wide, Grow Wide Incubator. Monica, I said you were going to talk a little bit about this, but like, can you talk a little bit about this now? Because that's a $1,200 value, and really like the accelerator on top of the mastermind.
Yeah, so the Go Wide, Grow Wide Incubator, it's really ideal for anybody who just cares about publishing. So if you have a book, like you can use this program. And it focuses beyond Amazon, basically. So there are two sections, so there's 12 months. Each month covers a different topic. But and two of the months are Amazon months. One is for Amazon algorithms, one is for Amazon ads. And then the other 10 months are things that are not necessarily about Amazon. So there are 4 other major ebook and audiobook retailers that it covers, which is Barnes & Noble, Apple Books, Kobo, and Google Play Books. And so it covers a bunch of stuff there. There are 2 additional ad platforms that it covers, which is Facebook and BookBub ads. So that plus Amazon ads it's kind of like the 3 biggest ones. So then the other 4 months, we talk about print and just like building your print sales, and then audiobooks, building your audiobook sales. And so we kind of talk about everything around those 2 topics of like some of the things that have come up recently is like Ingram Spark and indie bookstores and like fulfillment by Amazon and like so stuff that's kind of on the fringes. So it's not just like upload your book to KDP print, or which is just KDP, I guess now. So it's not just that. It really goes beyond like a more holistic view of publishing, I think, than what is typically given. And then the last 2 months are about direct sales. So one is about direct sales from your website, and then one is about special offers in direct sales. And so those 2 combined, they can pretty much give you a good idea of how to do direct sales from your website. So one, direct sales from your website is really about like having a storefront. The other one is about doing a special offer to your list, and how do you fulfill it? How do you take money for it? How do you market it? Like all of that stuff. And there are, of course, books as well to go with each of these topics. So you'll get a book, you'll get like a 2-hour workshop, and I've recorded a bunch of those during the Kickstarter campaign already. And so like for each month, you'll get the book, the Kickstarter, or not the Kickstarter, you'll get the book, you'll get the workshop, and then you'll get like 5 projects basically. So I'll give you like 5 like major things that kind of work for everybody. And then you get a forum. So you have a mentorship forum. And so if you join the mastermind event, then you'll have a whole year of this mentorship forum where you can jump in and you can ask questions really at any time. You'll also have the Kickstarter Accelerator for at least a year, if not more. And again, you can jump in and ask questions at any time about anything, about email, list building, like whatever. Those things are all kind of welcome in the Kickstarter forums. And so it's just a good opportunity to have really our eyes on your stuff. And it is a group mentorship format. It is through like comments. So it's not like we get on a call with you or anything, that we do every once in a while do like special calls for our group. But yeah, it's a really cool program, I think, if you're interested in publishing. And I think most of the programs about publishing are focused on Amazon right now. And so this is, do you want to go beyond Amazon?
Yeah, absolutely. And so, I mean, I love it. I'm also in there in the incubator part of this. You also, as Monica said, get entrance into our Kickstarter Accelerator. So that one's a little more self-explanatory. It will take your Kickstarter to the next level, to the first level. We've raised over $650,000 through members of our group, both experts and people, including $67,000 last month, $110,000 the month before, and we're already over $60,000 raised for this month.
For August.
So like we're raising about we're raising hundreds. We're raising just so much money. Like we've only had this open since last November. We've only had this open since November 1st of last year. So like we're on track to raise over $1 million in that group by the time this year ends. And like you get access to that, which is $800. So if you take that $1,200 away, there's $1,300 for that. We take $800 off for the accelerator. That's $500. You're going to also get all of our books, our nonfiction books, which I believe is about $300 of extra stuff.
Yeah, and you get them in all formats. So
Yeah.
I think that we're sending them out via paperback as well. So just so you know, but you also get like the ebook, and then if there's an audiobook, which there's not an audiobook of everything, but you get the audiobook too. And there's lots of bonus. Like it's weird because there's lots of bonus books too. So we just send our books to people that are in our programs because like we want you to have the book, like we want you to have as much support as possible. So it is a
Sure.
nice bonus. You know, it's probably closer to like five. You know, if you
Well,
look at the paperbacks, it's
well, if
closer
you're
to like
getting the
500 or 600.
paperbacks as
Yeah,
well, there's probably like, yeah, six, maybe even $700. But but I did this on just the ebooks, and
yeah,
and that puts your investment at $200 really for this accelerator. It's a literal negative if you're also getting
that's crazy.
the print books. Like if you're getting the print books, there's at least another $300 there, which makes your investment negative $100. So like this is how when we talk about giving value, like you can't just look at the $2,500. Like you're getting everything back. Like you're getting access to courses and incubators. And if you have a big problem in your while you're there, like we'll probably enroll you in a different course that like just because we want you to have access to other stuff that is going to be valuable to you.
Yeah,
We have thousands of other dollars worth of extra courses that we can also loop you into.
we do.
And then that doesn't even include anything that happens on the day of the mastermind. So the day of the mastermind, you're getting a breakfast, lunch, dinner. So there's some money there. We're going to have a morning study group every day of the convention. So you can come and get some coffee and snacks there as well. And we're just going to keep adding on as much value as we possibly can. We're going to do a wrap up after the show. We're going to have nightly things. Like
Yeah,
we're going to have meetups. It's going to be just like, and there's only going to be a max of 6 people there. So like
right.
you are going to get at least 1.25 hours of personalized attention because like there's only 6 of you there. So I mean, it's just it's a lot of money to think about, but when you actually break it down into its component sections, it's really not that like it makes complete sense. And we want it to make complete sense. We want you to be able to go to your your spouse or your brother or into the mirror or like whoever you're talking to, mom, aunt, uncle, and be like, here's why this makes sense. Like and so like we think it makes sense because we're giving you just so much extra value. And if you have any of those programs already, like please reach out to us because we can make special accommodations for you if you already are part of the incubator or you're already part of the accelerator. So please do reach out to us because we want to see you there. Like we are invested in this community and in building this thing. Like honest to goodness, I did not think that it would blow up in the way that it did. I don't think we
No.
understand. We're not quite sure what special magic we captured for the past year, but like we understand that it is a special magic, and like we want to foster it and grow it. Like so we have every reason to want you to succeed. We want you to look back at this at the end of 2023 and say this was the best decision that you made in the past year.
Yeah, and I would add to that, like I mean, we have so many other things coming out, and we're kind of like if you're if you're in this mastermind, like you're probably going to get some of those too, if not all of them, because we really have a lot of investments that we haven't really spoken about publicly that we are either planning to launch or that it's in the process of launching, and we just haven't announced it yet. So that's something else to keep in mind. It's kind of like a mystery box or a grab bag, but it's really like if you want to be with us on this journey, this is a really good way to do so. And then I would also add, people who get in early with us, they lock in like the best prices, and like I think about the Kickstarter Accelerator, and it literally started at $100, and there are people in the program who got it for $100 and are just continuing to like receive value from it. And now it's $800 to get in, like less than a year later. So it's like, we don't know if we'll ever do an event like this again. We really don't. Like, we don't have one planned. But if you were to get in now, there's probably going to be a discount for the next one for you. And it's just like, the price the next time might be like double or triple realistically. And we always raise our prices consciously when we prove to ourselves that we know how to deliver that value. So like the Kickstarter Accelerator, it didn't go from 100 to 800 because we like just decided to do that. It went there because we were like, oh, we can see that we can deliver like thousands and thousands of dollars of value to like the average author. So we were like, it like only makes sense to increase the price. And so we always do it like really consciously with the knowledge that we can deliver on it. And so, if we see that we can deliver a much higher value, then that's when we raise our prices. So yeah, the next event, if we do another event, it's likely to be, significantly higher, kind of like we've done before.
Yeah, I mean, I also want to, because we understand that as the community grows, like it costs more to service them at the level that we have. So like one of the things that we do is we're in the process of like hiring people to like, so all of that stuff costs more. And that means that we have to raise the price higher, but we don't want to raise the price higher until like we know that we can deliver on those things. So like we're very consciously trying to make sure that when we raise the price, the value gets better. Like the community is better. When we started this, nobody knew what Kickstarter was even in the accelerator. Most of them just bought that like either to support us or that they thought that it was like going to be a fun, neat experiment. And now you have people like talking at nauseum about the Kickstarter experience and like helping other people. Like the community's better. We've raised more money. Like we're working on getting more supports in. We're working on doing more things throughout the year. So we want to support you better. And we think this is a way to support you better because we have heard in our community a lot of like them wanting personalized attention. And so one of the things we're doing is testing whether like giving personalized attention is a thing that people actually want.
Brings value to them.
Yes, and brings value in that they see the value and that there's a reason why like we should invest more in this in the future, because right now what we see is a lot of value in the courses that we have, in the incubator that we have, in the books that we have, because we see a lot of people doing that. And like we're open to doing more stuff. We want to listen to you. It just takes a two-way street. Like we know that doing things for free and without seeing a return eventually is a path of people giving less and less over time, and we don't want to do that. So we want to make sure that we're able to service you guys the best way we can. And we think right now, like doing a 5 to 6 person mastermind is something we can handle and give everyone a really good hot seats and personalized attention. Like we can go deep into everybody's business. And like, I know there's at least 6 people out there who need it. Mm-hmm. Like I can think of them off the top of my head, but like, I know there's people that have all of the pieces and they're sitting there like grasping it. Like, I don't know what to do next. And like, this is the next, like the next is, it doesn't have to be this mastermind, but it is going and finding some sort of mentor who can guide you into how to take all of the pieces and like put them on the board in the right way. And we hope that it's us. We understand that like for most people, like it won't be us, but we hope that it's somebody. But if that is you, this is an experience that we want you to go to 20 books. Like we want everyone to go to 20 books that can go to 20 books because it's such a great show. And we want to support 20 books in this way where like, we're going to give personalized attention that keeps growing. We were not going to do this morning things until this morning. And I was like, it'd probably be a good idea. So like, you're probably going to get even more stuff in this thing over time as well, because that's just how we roll. That's how it
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah. We kind of, we just tend to bring people along with us. It's kind of what it is. It's not really like, I don't think we like overgive or any of that. Cause I think that is, like Russell said, a recipe to burnout. I think that we really try to, like invest invest money back into the programs as well. Like we have things that we're doing for the Kickstarter Accelerator that's just going to make it even better in the next round and the next couple rounds. But yeah, so I don't think it's over giving. I think it's just like the way we roll is like we're just going to bring you along with us.
Yes.
Like we're always kind of like trying to grow and rise ourselves, and so we're like, come on, you can like come with us.
Yeah, my mothers were, one was Jewish, one was Italian, and one is Italian, and like that's their philosophy is give. Everyone eats, maybe until there's too stuffed to even move. But like that's how I grew up, and that's how I want to. So like, if you think this is a good idea for you, you can email writermbateam@gmail.com. And we can talk online. You can comment under here. We can start a DM. You can DM one of us, like however you want, because we know this is like a big commitment, even with all of the things that we just said, and we want to answer all of your questions, and we want to show you what personalized attention actually means from us. So like, we will be there to answer all of the things that we can that we possibly can, and we look forward to seeing you, whether you choose to join the mastermind or not, in Vegas in November.
Yeah, perfect.
Any last words?
No, I mean, I think that's everything. We're happy to talk to you and really like figure out if it's right for you, and if it's not, I think we would tell you, like we always do. Tell people. We tell people all the time, like, no, you're not ready for this, or you shouldn't be in this. So
yeah, absolutely. So Writer MBA team, I got the name right? Writer MBA team at gmail.com, and we look forward to seeing you.
All right, we'll put that in the chat too.
Yes.
MBA team at gmail.com. So email us, message us, and we're both on Facebook. So yeah, awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye.